Thank you all for being present.
Thank you.
So they'll come back August 18th.
And they said hopefully that will give them time for discovery, to get all the evidence in and turned over to defense and prosecution as well. They're going to review the documents and responses prior to that. As you mentioned, 2 of the defendants are asking that their trial be separate from the 5, the group.
Can't remember a trial where there were 5 defendants and they were all tried at the same time. A lot of times, you know, there may be evidence that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 don't have the same set of circumstances as the other. I'm thinking about the Derek Chauvin thing and the murder up in Minneapolis. I think ultimately all of those guys who were charged were tried separately.
And as we know, all 5 officers are charged with the same thing, second-degree murder. But when we saw in the video, it appeared that some officers had a more intense role, if you will, in what happened to Tyre Nichols, to Darius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Justin Smith, Emmett Martin, and Desmond Mills Jr. These are the 5 former Memphis police officers, all part of what was then the Scorpion Unit, and they're charged ultimately in the murder of Tyre Nichols. It happened in January.
So what we're going to do here, we're going to hang here for a second, and Jeremy Pierre is there in the courtroom, and we're going to see if maybe we can rustle up an interview with maybe Paul Hagerman, maybe one of the defense attorneys. You can see them sort of filing out of the courtroom. We have a couple of crews there. We just saw one walking by. So that's what we're going to do.
And if you've been watching us since the top of the hour, you know that the audio was not great. So Jeremy is hoping, as you said, to talk to one of the key players, one of the defense attorneys, or several of them, and of course the assistant district attorney who's prosecuting these former police officers. They will tell us in more clear terms exactly what happened. Yes, we know they're going to be back in court August 18th. We know there are a lot of filings and motions from each attorney. And it looks like we have some folks assembling there where our other camera is set up. We have 2 crews at the courthouse. And we're told that the people we're about to talk to work with the attorney, Ben Crump, who represents Tyre Nichols' family. We're about to talk to them. He's not in town, but some of his folks are.
Okay. So
That's coming
so
up.
we're waiting for that.
Let's listen in. This is on behalf of Tyre Nichols' family.
For the first time. So today we want to give them some justice to talk about how they feel and what today felt like to them. And we'll start with his brother, Jamal.
What's going through your mind, Jamal?
A lot going through my mind right now. A lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of frustration. Gotta sit back and look over my sisters, going through it. And it's like, to just look at them and they black men just like me. They got brothers just like me, and I just don't understand why they had to kill my little brother, why they couldn't show no remorse towards my brother. Now I gotta sit here and be the man with my mom, my sisters, and pretty much everybody else in my family. So it's like, it sucks, makes me very angry.
Jamal, we know you're from California. Is this your very first time sitting in on one of these court proceedings?
For my brother, yes. Correct.
What was running through your mind?
Anger. A lot of anger. I've been very vocal about a lot of stuff. And it just, for me, I can be very strong at times, but it's just when my sister just breaks down crying right next to me, like I'm they little brother, but they my babies too, So it hurts, and just seeing my mom just pretty much just really deteriorating still, So again, it shouldn't happen with no race, no colors at all, but just to see 5 black officers that I know they got brothers and sisters kill my little brother that's beyond me.
I know you
Was it intentional not to come, and why was today the day you decided I want to be here?
What you mean? I'm gonna be here every one. I just didn't come to the other one because, you know, I got kids back at home, so I'm a father first too.
Can you spell your name and provide your age, please?
JAMALDUPREE 36.
Jamal, what are some of the words if you had a chance to face these officers, these 5 former officers, what are some of the words you would have for them?
Okay, and right now one of the attorneys for one of the 5 former police officers, Blake Ballin, is speaking.
The state has that they need to turn over. So not that they're hiding anything, but you know, sometimes you look at what you've been given and you think, well, logically, this would also exist. Can we take a look at that? So,
Attorney Ballin, today your client appeared in court. Tyre Nichols' family was here. His siblings saw the officers for the first time since all of this has happened. What was your client's disposition today going into today's hearing?
well, I'm not sure how to answer your question because I don't know that the question at the end was related to the statement you made at the beginning. But I'll tell you that, like all of us, he's very anxious to get this resolved. You know, this is stressful for everyone. It's stressful for the Nichols family. It's stressful for the defendants and their families. It's stressful for the lawyers. So we are all just looking forward to moving in the direction of resolving this.
And so 2 of the co-defendants have filed motions to have separate trials.
Right.
Do you anticipate everyone to get a separate trial, or do you think that you are going to try and keep everything together as much as possible?
The default position in cases like this is that they're all tried together. There are some circumstances where cases are separated, defendants are separated. I know that 2 of the defendants have requested a separation, a severance. I'm still thinking about it, to be honest with you. There are strategic advantages to having something like this tried all at once. There are potential advantages to having them separated. But at the end of the day, I need to do some legal research to see if that's if there's a legal reason for that. So we'll be making some decisions. There really haven't been any motion deadlines set yet. Not that I need a deadline to make me file something, but right now we're just still reviewing and thinking about that issue and a bunch of other issues.
Blake, what do you think about these 2 officers wanting to have their trials held separately? Or did you answer that already?
That's what we're talking about, and you know that's something that I understand their lawyers want. We may jump on board and be asking for the same thing. I just haven't made that decision yet.
What are you looking to get out of this discovery that you haven't already gotten? Or have you gotten it at all?
We've gotten quite a bit of information, thousands of pages, hours and hours of video. The most recent thing we got was some training records, very important. And so the next thing I'm probably going to focus on is we have a use of force expert, right? I mean, these are very complicated issues of how people are trained, how officers are trained, whether they're acting in conformance with their training or did they go outside of the lines. And so I just received this disc today that has training records on it. I'm going to review it myself, review it with my expert, and see if we need to track down anything else.
I know a lot of people are probably wondering, how long does it usually take to overlook something like this and then get whatever you need to go forward?
You're not going to like this answer. It takes as long as it takes. So, all right, well, I appreciate it, guys, and look forward to seeing you next time.
It's interesting. That's Attorney Blake Ballin representing Desmond Mills, and he just said they've gotten a lot of discovery, which is the information that the prosecutors have, thousands of pages, training records. He specifically pointed that out and saying that he's going to bring in a use of force expert, kind of giving us an idea of that defense.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? We were doing what we were trained to do. You know, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, we've got the Assistant District Attorney who's prosecuting this case, Paul Hagerman, joining us now. Let's see what he has to say.
You ready? Yeah. Pretty good. So I guess for starters, you said most of the discovery process is done. You said it was substantially completed. What's really left? What do you anticipate the defense really wanting?
So discovery is always a process. It's ongoing throughout the case, even up till trial. So it's always a process. we've turned over everything we have in our possession, which is over a terabyte, I think, of information. So it's been quite extensive, and TBI and people in my office and everybody have done really a great job getting a lot at all these defense attorneys in a relatively quick period of time. So things are not, I know they seem to be progressing slowly, but given the amount of information from where all it's coming, things are going fast in terms of discovery.
Is that what we saw you rolling into the courtroom today?
What I rolled in earlier was the city and county material that right now is being litigated as to its releasability or not. So the judge could keep those binders in his chambers. That's what I rolled in. But to get the idea of how much a terabyte is, you saw me roll in those binders. That was an incredibly small fraction, less than 1% of what would be the discovery in the matter. So you get an idea of volume and things. What's missing are things, Mr. Stingle in particular did a real good job going through discovery, and not that it's missing, it's just other information defense attorneys may want. Some of it is information from TBI scientists that, as a matter of course, is only turned over after a court order is entered and things. So it's most of it's typical type discovery that we just have to go round up and get to the attorneys.
What's the state's position on the motion to sever that was filed?
We'll take our position once it sort of becomes appropriate. It's common for defense attorneys to go ahead and file motions, even at this stage of the case when the trial hasn't been set. But a motion to sever is more like a trial motion, and when we get close to that point, we'll make our position quite clear on that.
One motion to sever at this point, Justin Smith, or
There may have been two filed, but like I said, attorneys file their motions at different times. A motion to sever contemplates a trial setting. We're at the point where we're talking about ending discovery. So it's a little early to litigate any of those, but we have a quite clear position on a motion to sever, for instance, that we'll make clear at the appropriate time.
Paul, we keep hearing about this additional evidence that could be released or made public. What is this that we're possibly waiting for, and what does it include?
It was the subject of the last hearing. There have been numerous freedom of information requests made to the city and to the county regarding personnel files and documentation and things that the city and the county have in their possession, which is not our office. That was all turned over to the court. That was the binders that you saw me rolling in, so I'd say it's probably about 3,000 pages or so of information, plus maybe about 14 or 15 additional videos relating to the case. The judge has to make a decision as to what of that is releasable to the public. We've made our position clear at the last hearing that we favor transparency, and for the judge to be able to release whatever he deems he can. There's legal restrictions, though, the constitutional rights of the defendants to a fair trial and questions of privilege and things like that. So the judge has to sort that stuff out before he makes a ruling. Hopefully we'll have that ruling sooner rather than later, and there'll be some more information released to y'all.
And if and when anything is released, is that going to come through you guys, or is it going to go back to the city and their...
It really shouldn't come from us. We've acted at the court's request to gather this information from the city and county and distribute it to the defense attorneys and to index it. I would expect that if the judge enters an order, it would be that the city and county can release this documentation, or should release this documentation.
Good.
Thanks so much.
And that, of course, is the Assistant District Attorney, Paul Hagerman, who is doing the prosecution of this case. And, you know, we talked about 5 former police officers, all charged with second-degree murder. As it looks right now, they could all be charged together, but 2 have asked that the cases be separated.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of inside baseball watching the sausage being made behind the scenes today. The big news today is the next hearing, if you can call it big news, next hearing is going to be August 18th.
Yeah, and I think the fact that this is such a situation that caught the hearts of the nation, Tyre Nichols being killed after a traffic stop that many officers, leaders with the police said was appeared to be unwarranted. So
it's clearly unwarranted.
Yes, and we have Jeremy Pierre, who's been in the courtroom talking to the lawyers. He'll have a live report in just a moment.